Hello, everyone, and welcome to the December Recruiting Insider Call. And folks, I think this may be the last time it's called the Recruiting Insider. We are actually looking at changing the name. I frankly really never have liked that name, mainly because, as you have known, many of you have been on every single one of the calls since we started. And as you have seen, this isn't only about recruiting. We're thinking about changing it to Impact Advantage or something like that. So stand by. In January, we'll have the new name rolled out, and we'll go from there. But I want to wish everybody, I hope that everybody had a wonderful and Merry Christmas, and I appreciate that our Savior is the reason for that season. Second, I want to wish you all a prosperous new year. The next time we talk will be mid-January, leaning toward January 24th, so stand by for news and notification on the exact date. My January schedule is absolutely slammed between Iowa, Oregon, and everywhere between. So I'm trying to figure the date we're gonna do the event. Matt Lee will not be on the call today. He is on vacation from Ramsey Media Works, and we certainly wish Matt of course, he's probably working, knowing him, but I gave him a reprieve from this phone call. But, guys, we have a special guest, and you can see on the title here how Small Town Lowe's continues to win national awards. And I would sure like to welcome Tom Baumhover, the store manager from the Neosho Lowe's, to the call. Tom, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Kelly. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. And Tom, I don't take lightly the fact that you agreed to be a part of this call. And folks, I was talking to Tom a few minutes ago, and when we have to go to the lumber yard store, got to go to a Lowe's or something. I shouldn't have mentioned Lowe's in this example, Tom. Oops. Anyway,
That's
when
all
you
right.
got to go to a lumber store, most of us absolutely cringe. And then there you are, you're back in the plumbing section. You're looking at all these different pieces, and you're like, do you need this? Do you need that? Does this thing couple with that? How do I put this together? And you can never find somebody to help you. Guys, that's true except for at the Neosho Lowe's store. It's phenomenal. His folks are just great at customer service. They're there. Whether you even look like you need help, they walk up and ask you, can I help you? And that is just huge. And also, as a result, Tom, you guys have won a lot of awards. Tell me a little bit about the accomplishments of your store.
Well, it all starts with really employee engagement, and my store is recognized year after year after year, if not top in the region or top in the division or company on employee engagement. Every year we ask our employees to complete a survey on how we're doing and what they like about the company, and we usually come out on top. So all of our results are because of an engaged workforce. So it starts with that. 3 out of the last 6 years, we got the #1 award in the company or region or division on customer service. And again, that's because of the employee engagement. And I believe nobody wants to fail. That's my job as a store manager, to help my team succeed, and my job as a store manager is to lead my team to remove barriers that keep them from helping a customer. So so I talked to Kelly quite quite a bit about being a barrier remover, and I always look for barriers that keep people from doing what they need to do. A lot of times it's easy for a new hire to come on and they'll put their hands up, and it'll be safe for them not to help a customer or ask a customer if they need help, because what if the customer has a follow-up question and they don't know the answer. So I think with millions of items being sold, a lot of people get a little overwhelmed on how to help a customer, and that's what I focus on, is how to remove a barrier to help an employee, help a customer deliver great service.
You know, Tom, I was over at our Shell Knob office and had to walk into another Lowe's store, and I walked up to some folks. I needed some wire cut, and I walked up to this pro desk where there were 6 guys standing, and I said, "Hey, can any of you guys in charge of help with cutting wire?" And one smart out, no. And I didn't even look at them. I'm sitting there thinking that wouldn't have happened in Neosho. But luckily, one of the other guys, hey, what can I help you with? And he walked me over there. But it was just, and I just can't brag on your team enough. In the fact that when you walk in and you need something, they're real quick to take you right to it, help you to put it together. And, frankly, I'm doing a major, not a major really, but anyway, doing a remodel piece. And so we've been going to your store a lot, buying some things. And of course, you hooked me up with this QSP process, which saved me, well, on average, 14.6% off the ticket items. You just said, "Hey, come here, let's figure out how to put this together, and I can help you save some money." And the other day we called, we were inbound to your store, and I just called your store and asked one of your folks, "Hey, we've got this QSP. Can you guys start pulling it for us?" And when we arrived down there at the contractor, and you guys had all of these carts lined up in a row with everything that I needed, and you guys were ready to start loading my flatbed. I was just amazed at the quick response and customer service that you guys have. And that doesn't happen by accident. And the reason I wanted to invite you to the call is, I talked earlier this year about my 5-minute stand-up morning meeting. And one of the ways to motivate people and keep them on target. And I just felt like after seeing what you do with your store and then hearing about the awards and the volume, I mean, the truth is, when Lowe's went to build your store in Neosho, I really thought, what in the world are you guys doing? Because there was already 3 other lumber stores in Neosho, but and we're only 11,000 people. But the volume that you out of your store is just through the roof, and you outsell stores that ought to outsell you. And I think it all comes down to customer service and your management principles. And so you've got some stories. I mean, we got these 4 bullet points up on the screen, and you kind of make this part of your principles that you manage by every single day. Would you mind taking us down through that process? And I really like the first bullet point. You kind of talk about your son in basketball in that. Be great at what you do.
Sure. I totally believe in this. A lot of times when you bring on a new employee, they know there's a lot of information out there. We tend to overwhelm them with everything that Lowe's does and what we can do for them. And I totally believe if we overwhelm them, what happens is they just put their hands up and they don't take care of our customers. The story I use is an example of my son. When he was 8 years of age, I was doing my taxes, and on the side I build houses as well. And so my taxes are pretty lengthy, and he has 2 older sisters, but my son really stood out, and he said, "Hey, Dad, what are you doing?" So I explained how taxes work, and for 8 hours he helped me with the taxes. At age 9, when it was Christmas time, he said, "Hey, let me do your taxes for you, or let me help you with your taxes." And I said, "Really, Brad?" I said, "You should be focusing on playing or doing other things that kids do." And then at age 10, he approached me and he said, "Hey, Dad, I want to join the basketball team." It happens to be at St. Mary's there in Joplin. And he kind of shocked me that he wanted to be on the basketball team, because he's expressed no interest in any type of sport before. He's never dribbled the ball or passed the ball or shot the ball. And I was like, well, he's just probably a late bloomer. And but he wanted to. It was really important that he was on this team. And sometimes with employees, it's real important. They want to wear that red vest. They want to be on the Lowe's team because we're the top 40 companies in the United States. Uh, so, um, so my wife and I were excited. They said, "Well, Brad's going to be on the basketball team," and uh, so we said, "Who's the coach? When's your first game?" And he tells us that, and a couple weeks later, uh, my wife and I and his two bigger sisters go to his first game, and we're excited to see our son play basketball for the first time. Uh, what we saw and what we thought were two different things. Brad got to play the first quarter and third quarter. He ran up the court and down the court, up the court and down the court, along the sidelines. Doesn't touch the ball even once. And their team got their they got beat quite a bit. So it was a little bit embarrassing, and we were new to the community at the time, and a parent in front of us said, "Whose kid is that?" And my wife said, "Tom, you got to work with him." And I said, "No kidding." And so we buy a basketball hoop, we practice, he goes for about 20 minutes, and he says he's got to go in and do homework. It's like, "Brad, I do work a lot, and I won't be able to practice with you tomorrow night. This is our time." And he ended up winning. He ended up going in and doing his homework. So second game goes on, and we say, "Brad, just do something. Do your part. Get in there and go after it, and listen to what the coach tells you to do." And we go to the game. The big sisters and him go in, and same thing happens, but this time he gets fouled. He shoots the ball, free throw, and it goes halfway to the hoop, and we realized we're on the failing course here. Third game, the big sister said, "Nope, we're not going to go. It's embarrassing." And I talked to Brad about, "Brad, why do you want to be on the team, but you don't want to play the game?" And I think a lot of times employees, they want to be on the team, but they don't want to do their part. And he goes, "Dad, it's important to me to be on this team." And I said, "All right, well, just be a little bit more assertive, be a little bit more aggressive, because, practice makes perfect. That's what everybody always tells you, right?" So I was probably being a bad dad at this time. I said, "Just do something. I don't care if you even foul somebody. Let me see that you have some aggression, something to help that team." And I was being a bad parent, a bad coach right then. They end up getting their butts handed to them and losing their third game in a row. And finally, we were driving home, and I said, "Brad, why do you want to be on the team but you don't want to play the game? Is it the uniform? Is that why you want to be on this team? I don't understand. You got to help us understand." And he said, "Dad, there's 13 boys in my class. I'm not into the Legos. I'm not into the video games. And if I'm not on this team, I'm going to stand out a little bit more than what I already do. So I'm just doing my part to fit in." And I said, "Okay, I get it." I said, "Brad, forget about this practice makes perfect speech. Forget about I want you even to forget about all the plays that the coach is giving you. Forget about dribbling and passing. Let's focus on being great at one thing." And what I realized is the game of basketball was new to him, and he was overwhelmed. Instead of doing something, he chose to do nothing. And if I remove all the barriers for him and just focus on one thing, being great at it, maybe he has a chance. So in this particular case, the ultimatum was, "Brad, let's focus on rebounding the ball." And the reason we focused on that is he's a foot taller than any other kid in the class. If you can rebound the ball, you can stay on the team. If you don't, you're off the team. So he said, "That's all I have to do?" I said, "That's all you need to do." So next game, he goes in, he plays the first and third quarter, and he rebounds over 50% of the shots. And he just throws the ball back to his teammates. He got fouled a few times in that, but they win their first game. and everybody's high-fiving Brad saying, how did you learn how to play the game of basketball overnight? What they didn't realize is he wasn't doing the shooting, the dribbling. He wasn't listening to all the plays that the coaches were giving them. He was overwhelmed before. So by removing barriers for your team, you can have a successful team. When I hire a cashier, I just ask them to be the best cashier. I'm not asking you to be the store manager and know everything I know. If it's a truck and loader, just be the best at it. If somebody's doing it better, figure out what it is that they do. We have a connections website. It's kind of like a Facebook site for all of our employees, where you can find out what somebody else has already done that's really successful, so you can share your successes with others. So always force yourself as a leader to remove a barrier for your team. I know my team does really well with soliciting credit or Lowe's protection plans, or getting leads and details for our team to go out and estimate fences. And the reason we do well with those is because we coach one-on-one. We talk about it at morning meetings. We do it versus communication. Communication's key. And the key is remove the barrier. I know a cashier will not ask a customer to save 5% on their Lowe's card, because if the customer would say, well, how do I do that? How does that work? They don't know all the answers to it. They won't ask. It's just easy not to ask. So that's why I say focus on removing barriers. I hope that helps, Kelly. I'm sorry I rambled on.
Oh, it absolutely did. I appreciate the kind of the story, and it kind of, I think we all, as we think about our staff, many folks on this call have recruiters. We have insurance brokers here on the call as well, operations managers, shop managers, and instead of trying to have employees be great at everything right off the bat, let's just get them to be great at one thing, and then we'll add to that list. And then, like you say, remove barriers. It's one of the management techniques that I teach, and I see Travis Rust on the call today. Travis, welcome to the call. And Travis can talk about this, where a lot of folks, they start with no. It's a normal human behavior to start with no, or frankly, start with seeing barriers, and get them to not see the barrier, and for us to remove the barriers. And let's work toward a common goal. So then what's your, point number 3 and 4 here, build relationships. Frankly, when I saw that, Tom, I was thinking about the book, First Break All the Rules, which was written by the Gallup organization as a result of, for 20 years, studying the most successful managers in the world and what they do differently. And one of the things that they do differently than most managers is they build relationships. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. It's more than just building a relationship with your management team. Your team looks at you every day for guidance. It doesn't matter if it is a truck and loader associate or a delivery driver or a cashier. You have to say hi to everybody. At my store, I have about 135 employees. I go out of my way every day to talk to each and every one of them. And it might be a short conversation sometimes it'll be a little bit longer. But then I think everybody wants to succeed. I don't think anybody wants to go home and say, hey, you know what, I was average today. I want my employees to go home every day and say they made a difference in somebody's life. And when I get home at the end of the day, my wife always asks me, hey, how'd your day go? Oh, it's average. I don't want to be like that. I don't want my team to say they were just average. They just showed up for a paycheck. I want them to go home and say, you know what, I had a great day, and this is why. And a lot of people think employees or associates don't want goals, but they do. They all want something to shoot for. And then if they reach their goal, we have to make sure we recognize them. And so that starts with the employees. But then the community, you got to be part of the community. You got to be, we do Lowe's Heroes or Christmas parades or food brigades, anything we can do to help out the community, be embedded in the community. The community definitely, we got a great relationship with several of the banks. Those banks send us a lot of business, and it's just checking in with them on a regular basis, talking to them, sending them business as well. It goes both ways. We send them business as well. Being embedded in the community is huge. The customers, you got to build relationships with customers. People will shop where they feel wanted or valued, and they can buy that hammer anywhere. But if we build a relationship with maybe some of the tools that we have, like 5% off or delivery or just expert advice, or whether they choose us or not, it all makes a difference, and people continue to use us again and again and again.
So talk to us about the engagement and communication in the huddles you do. I think your huddle is a lot like the 5-minute stand-up morning meeting that I talked about in previous webinar, and the results are just phenomenal. Talk to us about the engagement and communication piece.
Well, we have huddles every morning and every evening, and that's where we talk about where the promotions that we're currently running that they can share with our customers. Maybe we talk about benefits, how it would benefit an employee, medical, health, 401k. Talk about things that are happening in the community. At first I got a little flack when I first started at this particular store because I didn't open it. And the prior store manager had called me and said, "Man, you got to cut down your huddles." And they should be a 5-minute huddle is what the thought was, but mine are 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes. And it's basically an all-store meeting. But I think that 15, 20 minutes really gives the tools for our employees to be pretty powerful as far as helping those customers and helping them remove barriers. They don't have to second guess, hey, are we running this promotion or that promotion? This is what we got going on in our community right now. So we do that. We also have what's called Sync Up with every employee. We actually now have a mobile app where we can just have a conversation with our employees. We record it, and what's on your mind, what can I help you with? We just ask a bunch of open-ended questions instead of us telling them. And then, instead of telling them, asking them is key. So when I promote some managers up into the system, at first they probably need a little bit more guidance. They want to tell instead of ask. You get so much out of so many more results when you ask versus tell. So never tell somebody to do something. Ask them if they could do you a favor. So I think you got to have it throughout the day. It's through email communication, huddles, because not everybody's at the huddle first thing because our shifts are staggered, and we have it morning, afternoon, and evening. And communication is the key.
Absolutely. And how can people hit a target that they don't know, that they don't know exists? And it takes the mundane out of it, keeps them engaged on what's important, keeps them informed. If we keep our competitors out of the know, so they can't compete with us, and we keep our employees out of the know, how can they help us any more than our competitors? So I am all about that stand-up morning meeting, and it's interesting. The other manager told you, you need to cut that down, but the truth is he's struggling, and you're flourishing. So, right. and the difference, I see it in your team is just phenomenal. And it's a pleasure to go to your store. I have a choice of where we shop. Folks, a lot of you don't know on the call, I actually have rental of property interest, and we buy a lot from Lowe's. And there's a reason that my maintenance staff go to Lowe's as well for that purpose. And frankly, it's because of Tom. And Tom, we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
And on the community involvement, my daughter is doing a fundraiser for Camp Barnabas. It's a week-long summer camp for handicapped children. And folks, I'll tell you, she mentioned it to Lowe's and to Tom, and immediately, and there was no question asked. We are going to support that that charitable organization to try to do something special for kids with special needs. And so we thank you on that. You don't only say it in this webinar, you guys live it, and that's why I wanted to have the opportunity to invite you to this webinar. Folks, I hope that you got a lot out of this. And, I really think about it. Be great at what you do. Don't ask your folks to know how to do everything right off the bat. Show them how to just how to be great at one thing, and then start building upon it more and more. Remove the barriers from them. Get them to think yes, not no. Start thinking for solutions, not for roadblocks. And build relationships with them. Know what they're, care about your folks. If they don't feel like you care about them, then you will have employee turnover and lack of engagement. People get committed. Here's a Kellyism. People get committed to people, not to companies. And of course, keep them in communication. Tom, anything you want to add in the last few minutes we have here on the call?
Nope. It's if you focus on everybody just being great at what they're hired for, be the best cashier, be the best appliance specialist, cabinet specialist, it sure makes my job a lot easier. And I wish every Lowe's store was equally the same. They all say Lowe's home improvement. I think everybody strives to. Sometimes they just kind of lose their way a little bit and be proactive instead of reactive. And the key to being proactive is coaching your team and leading your team, inspiring your team, building the team. And it makes it fun to come to work every single day.
Absolutely. With that, Tom, I don't take lightly the fact that you just took 45 minutes out of your day to be a part of this webinar for impact. And thank you, everybody that's on the call. We had a great turnout today. We have over 1,000 people registered for this webinar. We're at 1,006 actually. And so thank you so much for all the different companies that are registered and being a part of this webinar every month. And with that, we'll say goodbye to everybody. And again, thank you again, Tom.
Oh, thank you, Kelly.
You bet. Bye-bye.